Hi, have you ever wondered how the Somali cultural wedding is done? Today we are going to use a communication analysis to understand this process, from when the boy and the girl meet to when they get married. In the very beginning, the girl and the boy are introduced to each other. They then get to know each other in the presence of either the family or the friends. Once they see fit for each other, the boy goes to the girl's family to ask for her hand in marriage. This is done in the presence of the clan elders, the father, the uncles, and the brothers. Once the girl's family accepts this proposal, they each exchange gifts as a sign of appreciation. They also set the date of their wedding. The girl is then prepared for her next stage of life, which is marriage, by her auntie and her mother, while the boy is prepared by the uncle, the friends, and the father.
On the wedding day, which takes place either in a mosque, in a house, or in a church, both families are usually present except from the girl. The Muslim leader, the Imam, presents the girl to the boy's family on behalf of the father. The girl has a privilege to choose what dowry, meher, she wants, and in this case, it could either be in terms of money, gold, or any other valuable thing. The boy states whether he can pay the money upfront, but if he cannot, he vows to pay later on another date whenever he can. After this, verses from the Holy Book, the Quran, are recited, and people later ululate to signify that the wedding has taken place. Food is then later served to replenish the guests. Later in the evening, a party is organized where the female friends, relatives, and the family members are invited. The people dance and eat. Basically, they make merry the whole night. Later on in the evening, the bride is taken home, or the groom picks the wife, and then the wedding is done. By the way, during the party, the bride is either dressed in a white gown or a very beautiful colored gown.
7 days after the wedding is an optional event known as Shashsar. This is basically an event that is carried out at home or at a hall depending on the amount of people who are there. So this entails the newly bride dressed in a cultural attire known as the Hidiyo Dakan, and she's basically done with gifts and presents from women in the family and friends and relatives. So once this event begins, is basically she is being put on for a shash, which is basically a silk satin material such as this. So she's put on for this on her head, and the first person to put it is her mother. So the first person to put it should be her mother, but in case the mother is divorced or widowed, then it should be her aunt from her sister, from her mother's side, who is married. And they believe that the first person to put this on the bride's head should be married, because it seems to be a carrier of good luck that you should be married, and so that marriage should continue into the girl's marriage. So the night goes on with dancing, singing, and people showering the bride with gifts and all. And after that, once the event is over, the shash, which was now given to the girl, the satin silk headscarf, is now distributed among the aunts who are present. And this is just a sign to show appreciation and the generosity of the girl. And after that, the girl is welcomed into womanhood and continues happily with her marriage life.
While events like the wedding we just saw are quite beautiful, sometimes it may be quite difficult to fully understand them. To understand any particular communication process, we can conduct a communication analysis by identifying and examining the following parameters. First, the participants. In this example, the main participants are, of course, the bride and groom, their parents, the religious leader, and their extended families. Communication flow. That being, the patterns of communication, whether they be horizontal, diagonal, upward, downward, or external. In this case, the communication is mostly horizontal. The parents negotiate as equal parties with important mutual interests, and the entire ceremony is conducted with an air of common interest and responsibility. They calmly search for common ground through negotiating, lobbying, and holding conversation. We should also look at the channels through which the communication is being carried out. In our example, most of the communication is verbal, facilitated exclusively in face-to-face discussion, though a number of significant non-verbal gestures like gift-giving also make up an important part of the communication process. The fourth parameter is the instrumentality, that being channels used to complete the speech act. In this case, we see that the language used is special to the event. The negotiations are held and carried out through colorful and almost poetic language. Lastly, we can look for cultural affirmations, which are things that present and uphold the cultural identity, such as supervised dates, which preserve the purity of both the bride and groom, the giving out of the dowry, gifting of the shash from the aunties to the bride, giving gifts of money and other things, and sometimes the wedding even taking place under a tree. So by making use of these tools and observing the culture through these parameters, we can be able to understand and truly enjoy aspects of different cultures.